Hello everyone. I'm going to do a quick video on the moment you, I, all of us dropped into human form. This really deep cellular memory that we all have and that we're all going to start to tap into and remember, because this remembrance, this memory is held in the light codes that you brought in with you as a higher dimensional consciousness. And these light codes, these memories are held within the DNA that are inside your physical form. So this is the memory of when you decided you wanted to participate, to volunteer, to be a part of this earth experience. You, as a light being or an angelic being, a galactic being, higher dimensional consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, there was an consciousness that you existed as and that you exist as in this now that is in a higher dimensional realm. So this consciousness could be a Palladian consciousness. It could be an Andromeda consciousness. It could be an angelic realm consciousness. It could be something so much more beyond any of that you can understand or comprehend in the third dimensional realm, right? It could be source that you dropped in from. But there was an aspect of you, there's a consciousness that you are existing as that is beyond and above anything that's in this third dimensional realm. And when you decided to participate, when the call went out and you answered it, in whatever moment that was, there was an aspect of you as that higher dimensional consciousness, that split and became a percentage or an aspect of the larger consciousness that you were experiencing yourself as. So if you were a Palladian, there was an aspect of your Palladian consciousness that you are and were that you split from. That consciousness was in between realms, dimensional realms, as it was deciding and beginning to create the human life that it was going to have. So all of us split from this consciousness that we existed as and we exist still as. And we were in between realms, looking down, literally looking down or looking across, looking however, at the earth. This beautiful, vibrating, breathing earth plane. And we saw all the beautiful humans and all the beautiful animals and all the beautiful trees. We've seen all of it existing and breathing. And we knew we were going in. It was our turn. Whether this was your first time going in or you were going back down in again. And every single time, or the very first time, you create and design the life like a canvas. You've got a blank canvas when you split, and you enter into this energetic field that people call the Akashic records, but it's literally an energetic vibration or cloud existing in a much higher realm. And it is from this location, which isn't a location at all, but from this place that you started choosing what this life was going to look like. So you were choosing your parents, who was going to create physically my form from the egg and the sperm. Where was this form going to be birthed? What continent? What country? What city? Were my parents going to have money? Were they going to be poor? These are all things that were designed prior to jumping in. Nothing was left to chance. Cross my fingers, who knows? Right? The color of your skin based on where your form was going to be birthed. All of this you chose from a much higher consciousness when you were in this realm, this field of consciousness called the Akashic. And there were many beings of light in this realm, choosing and picking energetically what they wanted to experience, the records they were going to pull in, the foundational core experiences they were going to have, knowing that as a human form, there was going to be a much denser aspect of them that was going to be leading the way. there was going to be the human aspect that was going to be in charge of the train, the boat, the car, the ego, personality, and mind. That aspect was going to be leading the charge when you, the higher aspect, would have to sit back and watch it unfold. And what you also brought in was, of course, your blueprint. Why am I dropping in? That blueprint. All of these things that you created and pulled are light codes, including the human form that you decided to jump into. All of these are light codes, which is energy, which is consciousness. And they are all brought in energetically through these light codes and stored within the 2-strand carbon-based DNA that the human body has now, which is transforming into 12 strands of a more crystalline-based DNA. It's activating and turning on for many humans, which allows the human to remember these light codes they pulled in. Oh shit, that's an Akashic record. Oh shit, I chose that. Oh, I'm letting go of that contract, right? Relationships that you have, really potent relationships and contracts, are created when you are in that realm. And you've got all your team around you before you jump in, and you're looking down and you can see the mother that you chose that's holding the form that you're going to be in. And you recognize that that form that you're going to be in is really dense. But the form is designed to hold your consciousness. You remember this. You know all of this. Your guides are telling you all of this. Plus, if you've done it before, you know. You know what it's all about. You also know that you're needed and it's time to go back in, or it's time to go in for the first time. And you know that when you're in that form, in that density, there is a free will that human form, that you as the higher dimensional aspect, that the ego, mind, personality, there's free will to that human. And so although you have created this beautiful canvas with all of these beautiful light codes that you're going to drop in and hold as the human aspect navigates, there's still an infinite amount of possibilities in free will. And so there's a lot of different courses that the human aspect of you can take. But you know that you've got these core Akashic records that are going to hold the human together. You also know there's a higher self that's going to be with the other aspects of you, the human aspect, which is ego, mind, personality, the consciousness that you are that's creating all of this. And then the higher self that's going to assist you as the higher consciousness and the human aspect to connect and communicate. You know there's an I am presence that's going to be with you, which is going to assist the human aspect to remember that they are an aspect of Source, that they came from Source consciousness, that they are God, or all that ever is, was, and will be. A little secret light spark inside. And you also knew that you were not doing this alone, that you were going to have all of your team around you. And yet you knew that when you dropped into that form that was being gestated and formed in the human body, in that human mother body, you knew that when you dropped in, you would forget all of this. You would forget that you created it. You would forget the team that you have around you that loves you and was cheering you on from that realm you were in. Reminding you that you weren't doing this alone, you never would do this alone, and that you were going to forget because you were going to be in a dense human form. And so, you courageously looked around and saw all these other bright lights, courageously saying, I'm going in. Let's do this. For all these different reasons. And they had all their team around them. And in whatever moment in between those 9 months or 7 months or 6 months, 8 months, right? However long that gestation period was where the body was being formed, you dropped in. And the being of light, you, consciousness, energy, it gets to choose when it wants to jump in. It can jump in at the 6-week mark. It could jump in at the 9-month mark. It can jump in right as the human mother is pushing the form out. There are no rules that the light being has to jump in at a specific time. The body still breathes. The body still has a heart. The body still has lungs. The body is still forming, whether the light being is in there yet or not. And so you jumped in just like that, and you were in. And the game began. The experiment began. And so here you are now. Remembering. Shrouded in very dense consciousness. So heavy that there are days where you're hoping that you can pop your head out of it and remember. What am I again? Who am I again? What did I choose? Why? Why did I choose this again? And that being, that consciousness that you are, that you split from, in order to be in this now, in this physical form, going through whatever you're going through, knew exactly what it was doing. No consciousness, no being, no force pushed any consciousness into human life, into human form. Always a choice. There is no such thing as a cycle that the human form, or a cycle that the light being is stuck in. Oh, you didn't complete something, you have to come back in. There's no such thing as have to in the higher realms. That is a third dimensional paradigm that is constructed in the third dimensional field, that you have to come back in. That doesn't compute up there. So here you are, a being of light, a higher self, an I am presence, a human aspect, ego, personality, mind, all held in a physical form, all navigating this awakening. All of it's true, all of it's real, and there's not 1 ounce, 1 moment, 1 second, 1 part of it that is bad, wrong, a mistake, a mess up, a do-over. Sure, there were many times where your guides and your team were like, excuse me, you were going the wrong way. This way, right? And they would do things to veer you over again. And it may not have been comfortable, may not have been fun. It may have been seriously detrimental to what you would think was a healthy life or a happy life. But we are shrouded in duality, a very dense consciousness that creates right, wrong, good, and bad. From this aspect that you are in form, that was up there prior to jumping in and was choosing so many amazing experiences, you understand there's no duality. There's no right, wrong, good, bad. Should have, should not have. Yes, no. It's all an experience of dense consciousness. And for most of you, there was a divine purpose in being here now to shift the frequency and the light quotient of the earth plane and the frequency of the human collective. So here you are. You are loved, you are seen, you are held, you are honored, you are courageous, and you're navigating this the best way that you know how. And you're doing an amazing job. No matter what your third dimensional lens will tell you. So try to remember that. Can you tap into that memory? I love you.